कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरु गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुदेवो महेश्वर गुरुसाक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पूर्णमद पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। Okay guys, so we did chapter 2 last time. We finished it and you all guys did an amazing job in summarizing it and letting me know your thoughts on chapter 2. So there were many things that you covered, and I enjoyed every one of you guys talking about, there were so many topics, right? Chapter 2 is entire Gita as we talk about it. It's a summary of Gita. So when you guys talk about it, like, hey, a lot of you guys picked the topic of happiness and temporary happiness. What is permanent happiness and what is temporary happiness? So there was a lot that you guys discussed. I think, Krishu, there is somebody. Okay, so that topic was, I think, most spoken topic. So I definitely want to just cover a little bit before we start the next chapter to just one more time clarify or talk about it, like what we are going to be learning out of Gita, right? It's not just about a math question that we will learn, and next grade it's going to be algebra 2, or next grade it's going to be geometry 3, that we don't have to remember the earlier part of it. You have to remember this thing what you are learning is going to be all your life. Even when you are 70 years old, you will remember this. So it has to impact you that hard, this learning, that it should not be just like you will learn today and you will forget tomorrow. It's going to stay with you all your life. And that's why you guys have to think through it, how to use it in your regular life. If you don't use it on your regular life, you would not be able to take it for a long run, right? This right now you are very little. You are 13-14-year-old kids, which if we say average age is 100 years, then you are not even 1/4 yet, right? So you have a long life to go. So you remember we talk about the cover. You remember, I think everybody would have remembered the symbol, a spiritual symbol that is on the book of on the cover of this book. Anybody, we will revise this one time because it's very important for us to go back and put the chapter 2 together with what we discussed before. So I will ask you this thing, and I hope you guys remember. So in this picture we symbolized all the whole entire Gita on this picture. So you remember what were the horses a symbol of? Anybody remember what were the horses? 5 horses were what? Yeah, Risha. 5 senses. Awesome. What was the reins? Reins. Krishu is improving my correcting my pronunciation. What was that? Do you guys remember? What was that? That was what? Mind. You're right. So it was mind. What was Krishna Bhagavan symbolizing here? Anybody remember? You remember, Shyam? What was Krishna Bhagavan in this?
The body. I mean, the
Don't look at your notes. So we have senses as horses.
the thing that controls the intellect.
You got it. So intellect, you remember? Krishna Bhagavan was intellect. Then what was Arjun? Arjun was our consciousness. Guys, you don't remember, this was the first topic we covered. Very first topic, right? So Arjun was our soul consciousness. And what was the chariot? The chariot was our body. You remember we talk about body, mind, intellect, all these things, consciousness, all through the chapter 2. So here is, I just want to revise one more thing in this. So we said horses are the senses, 5 senses, right? Then we says that control the horses is the mind, right? Mind is the one that controls the horses. Then intellect is the one that makes the decision making. And then Arjun is just a soul, the consciousness that keeps moving body to body and go to the next body, right? And the chariot is our body. So think through it, right, guys? So our contact from outside world is with what? How do we contact the outside world? Through what? What is the physical connection between outside world and us? What are the things that connect us? Yes, Nishi. The senses. Don't we see that connects us to the world? We hear, it connects to us, the world. Okay, what I want you guys to do one exercise. Close your eyes and try to pretend that you are closing your ears, you are closing your nose, there is no taste in the mouth, there is no touch feeling, okay? All the 5 senses, you are shutting them down, right? So I want you guys to do this exercise that all these 5 senses, you are not having it. Think about that and just take a minute to realize that there are no senses that we are utilizing at this moment. Are you guys ready to do that? I'm going to put 1 minute timer here. I want you guys to close your eyes. Pretend you cannot hear any noise that's coming from outside. You cannot touch anything. You cannot hear anything. You cannot smell anything. Okay? You guys good? Let's do it. Start. Close your eyes. Okay, let's open it. Did you feel disconnected with the outside world while doing this exercise? Little bit? No, yes, maybe? I want you guys to open up and say like, yes, little bit. So what happened here? You know, I know we couldn't shut down all the senses, but we were pretending to shut it down, right? Let's say because we have already seen the world, right? So it's very hard for us to shut down the whole, you know, we know like how trees look, right? How music we can hear, how the sweet taste, how the touch, anything good touch we feel, right? So we already am aware of these things. Now what I would tell you that what's going to happen if outside, if somebody has not even used these five senses, would they even feel connected with the outside world? No, right? They will not get connected with the outside world. If you don't have any senses, there is no connection with the outside world, right? So first of all, there are senses that connects us to outside world. What is the second thing that controls the senses? What was it? The mind, right? Mind controls the senses, right? So our thoughts, because we have already seen, we have all these thoughts that we are already being, we memorize the tree, we memorize the plants, we already have these thoughts in that. So even though senses were not being used, what's going to happen is the thoughts were there that was connecting us to the world. So second layer is what? The thoughts. The first layer was five senses, the second layers were thought, right? Then comes intellect, who is the decision making, right? So now what happens is whenever we do anything, first it comes through our senses to us. Then it stays with us because the senses already captured it, right? So it stays with us with our mind, the thoughts, and then our intellect work, right? On top of it. Now here is what you have to always think about it. Whenever they say first line of defense is the sense organ, that's why they come, Krishna Bhagwan, on the last 10 slokas, he very clearly says the first thing you have to do is control your senses, right? So you have to control that first layer of defense that is physically involved with the outside world. Then subtle involvement of outside world is the mind, right? So then mind comes into the role. How do you control your mind? First you control your senses, right? Then you control your mind, right? So purify your mind. So second layer, what you have to do is purify your mind. First control your senses. Purify your mind means the thoughts, the feelings that we are thinking about it, it needs to be purified. You cannot think and do bad things, right? It has to be, it should not be impure, it should be pure. And then intellect can make a decision. Then your mind can say, okay, this is right, this is wrong. Otherwise, what's going to happen is if you go directly to the intellect, then intellect doesn't play a role until the thought comes. First, the thought has to come, the mind has to work, then the intellect make the decisions, right? So third layer of defense is intellect, right? Then you make a decision and you do it. So anything, any desires, anything that comes to us, to do certain things, to do any action, the desire has to be there, right? To do any action, there should be a base of desire. So desire has to be there. So what's going to happen is the desire is there that comes through senses to our mind, then to our intellect, and then we make the decision. Now, there is very easy to make a decision wrong and right. Because you remember in initial days I said that intellect has a very small window to make the decision. It is not a big window. It does. You don't have like hours and hours to think and make the decision. What's going to happen is mind will throw something at you. Mind has long time. Mind takes all the time to give you give you all the thoughts. But intellect make decision right at the spot when you are deciding to do something. Right? So mind will give you so many thoughts to go, move, do everything, right? So then what's going to happen is when the intellect time comes, if the mind is more powerful and mind is giving you wrong thoughts, your intellect will give up. And then you will make the decision that's going to be a wrong decision, because now intellect did not do anything. If the thoughts are going towards the wrong direction, what's going to happen is the intellect will give up, and then your mind will make the decision, your thoughts, your emotions will make the decision and move on, right? So then you make wrong decisions. On the other hand, if your thoughts come, but the intellect has more power over your thoughts, so then it can make the right decision making. So then the intellect will make the decision which will be very well thought, but will be a right decision because your intellect thought about it. Logically, you made the decision, right? So sometimes as we grow older, we have a lot of decisions to make. And then as a kid also, you guys have a lot of decisions to make. You know, what time to do homework, what time to talk to your friends, what time to watch video games, what time to do this. So you have to make a lot of decisions. So you can also use this whole path and make a decision that, hey, am I giving a chance for my intellect to make the decision, or I'm just making a decision based on my feeling and thoughts, right? When it is decision made on feeling and thoughts, then it is possibility that you might make a wrong decision, right? So let it go to God here, let it go to Krishna Bhagavan, who is intellect here, right? Let it go to that level and then make a decision and then work on it, then do an action, right? So I want you guys to make sure that the chapter 2 is very big chapter, right? You know, it's not that we can, you know, do everything what is mentioned in chapter 2. But if you want to take something, I want you to take something is this, that how to make decisions in your life. When the things are in front of you, there are two things that you have to decide. How to think through it and how to make the decision. Yes?
Good versus pleasure.
Yeah, good versus pleasure, right? Or, you know, how do you pick the things that's going to be good for you? Because there are world out there that's will ask you to make wrong decisions. There will be plenty of, you know, pleasurable thing that will say, oh, I look cool in this, or I look funny in this, or I look so good, I will be popular person if I do this, or this is the good thing that I could do it. And you were going to make a wrong decision on that time. So think through it, use your intellect to make the decision. Don't go through the feelings and emotions to make the decision, right? So always remember that from chapter 2. The second thing I want you to remember from chapter 2 is that, you know, desires will be there. You cannot shut down the desires. You and me are not going to be monk, right? Who can shut down all the desires and sit on one place and meditate and doesn't worry about, you know, anything else. Like, don't need clothes, house, anything. And I will sit in the Himalayas, in the mountain, and just, you know, take God's name. That if we can become that monk, then yeah, there is no desire. You can give up the desires. But what happened is we cannot do those things, right? We are householders. We cannot do those things. So desires will be there. You cannot get rid of the desires, right? And God says, and I think last time Sunny mentioned that it was really nicely said, that you have to flow through those desires. You need to flow through those desires and then make decisions. Now, when you have a chance to not go beyond a level, make the decision that this desire is taking me away from my goals. So let me shut that down. So you should have a whole, control on your desires. That's what you need to do. Desire will come, but you have to control your desire. That's the second thing, that get ready to control your desire. There will be a lot of desires. There will be desire to buy a good outfit. There will be desire to buy certain things. Desires will be there. You cannot stop that. But what you need to do is make sure you don't go behind that, so that your main goal to serve others or get, enlightenment, that doesn't go away from your life, right? So remember that thing. That's the second take. The third take I want to tell is the happiness, right? We all are looking for all kind of happiness, right? It's the happiness that we are looking, and a lot of you guys covered that there is a degree of happiness that you have to be young, you have to be getting good grades, and you have to be really nice, have a lot of money and stuff like that. Those all, even though if you gather all those things, you still, that happiness, whatever you gather, so many things, still the happiness was like 0.0000001% of the degree, right? And it will go away. This day second, it goes away. You get the thing and it goes away, right? The happiness goes away. You wanted this thing so bad, right? And you were waiting for that thing to come, and the things come and you are happy, really, really happy. I got this. And then after 2 days, what's gonna happen? Now you have it, the happiness goes away, right? So you need to remember, what happiness are you looking for? Are these kind of temporary happiness that you are looking for, or are you looking for permanent happiness? Where does it come from, the permanent happiness? Inside you. It's not based on the object, outside object. The pen can give me a happiness until it works. After that, it will not give me any happiness. I will be like, okay, throw this away, it doesn't have an ink in it, right? So what is inside you, that's going to give you happiness, not what is outside. That's why Krishna Bhagavan, on the first thing, Krishna Bhagavan says on the chapter 2, what are you? You need to know that first. I'm not this body, not this mind, not this intellect. What I am? I am the consciousness. So if you get that information, then the happiness of these objects is very temporary, and you will react to that happiness as temporary happiness. You will not react to as, I cannot live without this pen. That's not going to happen, right? You will know that this pen will work for a little while and then it will go away. No happiness of getting this pen, no sadness when the pen goes away, right? So that's the third thing that you have to remember. Those are the three big takeaways from chapter 3 that I want you guys to think through it, right? So, chapter 2, sorry. Chapter 3, we got to start now. So, you remember guys, so 3 things. 1, that let your intellect make the decision, right? Second thing is, desire will be there. You will have to follow through the desire, but make sure you know how to control it. Where you are not, it's not taking you to your permanent goal, cut it down, shut it down, right? So you should have control on your desire. And third thing, make sure the focus of happiness is for the ultimate absolute happiness, not the temporary happiness, right? So these 3 things are explained in chapter 3. There are many other things that were explained in chapter 3, but for us, chapter 2. But we have to take at least, the 3 condensed form of chapter 2 that we learn out of it, right? So now what happens is, now we're going to go towards which chapter?
3.
Chapter 3. That I need to remember that this is chapter 3. Okay. Are you guys ready to go to chapter 3? Yes? Okay, awesome. And it is very familiar, because what happened is, can you see the board? Or you cannot?
No.
No? Now? Awesome. So chapter 3 is what? Karma Yoga. Right? Oh, you will see, they will see mirror image of this.
Yeah, but like, they can read it, but like, it's still hard to see.
It's hard to see. You got
It's
the
like
Karma
that.
Yoga? Okay.
Try turn it on. Okay, maybe you try.
Light it. Okay.
But like, it's because of the.
Okay, I will keep going. Turn the light. Let's see if it works. Karma Yoga. So we're going to talk about Karma Yoga. And you can say, Karma. How many of you guys know the meaning of karma? Anybody knows? We already studied, right? So yeah, Anaika? Anaika, you want to say? Avika, sorry. I always talk, Go ahead, Avika.
Karma yoga means like action.
Good job. So karma means action. Okay. If you guys can see, I wrote action. Karma is action, right? So yoga of action. Now, what happened is, Krishna Bhagavan, when we say that chapter 2 was summary of the entire chapter, of the entire Gita, right? Now, if you remember from chapter 2, what happened is, chapter 2 started from what? Arjun surrendered himself, right? Then the second part was that what are we? When Krishna Bhagavan explained the whole theory of like what we really are. We are not like how Karnu mentioned last time, like we are not, we change the soul changed the body like they change clothes, right Karnu? You remember that? right? So that's what Krishna Bhagavan told us, right? This body is not, you cannot be killed by a sword, by a, no fire can burn you, no water can flow you, right? So you are not this body, mind, and intellect. You are what? You are the soul. So God explained that in the second part of chapter 2. Then the third part of chapter 2, he says karma, right? You have to do your duties. Then he said that actions are in your control, but results are not in your control. Though results are not in your control, you should do action, and based on result, you should not do the action, right? So Krishna Bhagavan told about some part about action before, right? In chapter 2. Then the fourth thing Krishna Bhagavan said in chapter 2 was, what are the characteristics of Sthita Prajna person, right? The person who stabilized on their wisdom, what are their characteristics? So he already explained a little bit about Karma Yoga for us in chapter 2, right? Now, why he is taking the whole chapter as, he already explained Gita in chapter 2. Why is there another 16 chapter now? Why it is there? Because what happens is, Arjun asked another question, right? So he summarized it. He gave all the highlights of Gita. Now Arjun says, I'm a little confused. Explain me this. So Arjun asked one question, one more chapter comes up. Then Arjun asked another question, one more chapter comes up. Krishu, there is a message there. Then it asks another question, and then another chapter comes up. So all the other 16 chapters are because of one question that Arjun asked, and it's going to keep moving on there. So I want to tell you a little bit about Gita before we take this chapter, just to give you a little summary. Let's see if we can understand that. This summary was given by Madhusudan Saraswati, who is one of the writer, as well as who was very big philosopher at his time, who actually took Shankaracharya's work and translated it and explained it in a little easier way. So Madhusudan Saraswati took Gita and he translated it. He actually took the work of Shankaracharya, who translated Gita, and then he made the translation on Shankaracharya's translation, right? So what happened is, what did he explain the entire Gita in all the Gita in one sentence. I cannot say that sentence because it's in Sanskrit, but I will explain you in English how he said it. So what happened, he says that to practice Karma Yoga, right? Karma Yoga comes in practice to purify your mind. So Karma Yoga is to purify your mind, right? So purify your mind. Now what happened with purified mind? When you are purified mind, you get those four qualification to get the jnana, to get the knowledge. So what happened is, until you don't have a purified mind, so until you don't have a purified mind means until you don't have a Karma Yoga done, you would not have the qualification to get to the Jnana Yoga, right? Now, what were the four qualification? I don't think so, you might remember. Four qualifications. Anybody remember? Krishu, you remember?
What?
Four qualification to get the Gyan.
To get Gyan?
Jnana Yoga, what was the four qualification?
The first one? It was the first page of my other book.
But you have to remember, it doesn't have to stay in your book.
I know the last one was having an intense desire.
Yeah. the first one was. You remember, Nanu? Vivek.
Oh,
Vivek, Vairagya, then
yeah.
sixfold, and then
Diksha.
Mumuksha.
and
Yeah. Okay. So the first one is discrimination between real and non-real. So fourfold qualification. If you guys don't remember it, write it down because this will keep coming. We need to keep getting this information, right? So Karma Yoga leads to purified mind. Purified mind gets those fourfold qualification, and fourfold qualification is first is Vivek. In Hindi we say Vivek, means discrimination between real and unreal. So the mind, the person who has an intellect to discriminate between what is real and what is non-real, right? Now you remember we talk about real and non-real a lot in chapter 2, right? Everything that has birth and death is unreal. Everything that stays forever is real, right? We got that definition from chapter 2, real and unreal, right? So when we know only consciousness, only Brahman is real, all other things are temporary and unreal. It comes and goes, right? So what happens is the person who understands that only God is the one who is real, all the other is temporary, comes and goes, then everything else is unreal, right? So the person who knows the differentiation between real and unreal thing, that is qualified. What?
so we have that, right? Because you taught us.
Yeah, but do we
Use it.
use it?
You said
That's
no,
the
but
power.
You're saying no. We know it.
Okay, so this was, if you guys cannot see it, I'm not going to write it, but it's, did you get the first point? It is a discrimination between real and unreal, right?
Don't they have in their notebook?
It should be, but like how you lost your notebook, they might have lost their notebook too. So, 2. What is number 2? Vairagya. Vairagya is dispassion.
Oh,
Dispassion of eternal and non-eternal thing. Dispassion towards non-eternal, right? So dispassion
Unreal.
towards non-real thing, yeah. So not having passion, dispassion,
dispassion
Wait,
towards.
what was it?
vairagya,
What?
vairagya,
Oh,
V-Y-R-A-G-Y-A, dispassion towards non-real. So second fold qualification a person should have to get the knowledge is dispassion towards unreal. Now the third fold qualification is have 6 of them. Like third has 6, which is Shama, Dama, Titiksha, Uparati, Samadhana and Shraddha. Now I will tell you in English. These are in Sanskrit words. So first is control of mind. Second, control of senses. Spiritual fortitude. Okay, control of mind.
What is
Control of mind.
But what's
First
the egg in that?
Shama.
Okay.
Wait, what was it?
Shama.
The third one?
No. Second. First you will remember.
First is
First
Shama.
is control of mind. Shama. Dhamma. Control of senses. Titiksha, which is spiritual fortitude. Then it is Uparati, which is withdrawal from enjoyment. Then Samadhana, which is focus.
Wait, what was number 4?
Uparati.
Wait, what's the
Addiction, spiritual fortitude.
Yeah.
wait, what's the
Definition of Uparati is withdrawal from enjoyment. And then Samadhana is focus.
Wait, spiritual fortitude.
And the last one is Shraddha, which is faith in teacher and text. are you doing?
Upalati is
Upalati is withdrawal from enjoyment. Then samadhana is focus. And then the last thing is shraddha, which is faith. Hmm?
In like 2 minutes.
Okay.
That's what the message was.
Okay, if we get disconnected, connect back to the same link. Dharana. Krishna, you are very slow. Focus.
Yeah.
Samadhana is focus. And then Shraddha is faith.
I'm just trying to write neat.
And the last one is Mumutshutva, which is strong desire
How do you spell it?
of freedom. Just write strong desire
What's
for
that thing?
freedom.
Mumuksh-
Shitva.
What? Mumukshitru?
Mumutshutva.
Say it clear.
Yeah, you're not saying
Yeah. Like,
Wait, what was it? What was it? What was it?
Mumu. I will.
No, what's the definition?
Okay, so definition is strong desire for freedom
What's the word?
from samsara.
What's the word?
Mumu, M-U, M-U,
S. I wrote M-O-M-O.
that's fine. K-S-H-I-T-V-A.
Okay, I spelled it.
Hey,
Oh,
Bandhu.
and
Chalu kar Krishna.
Chalu.
Thank you.
okay, I'm gonna make it so that
Everybody can just enter.
there's no waiting room.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. So then those are the four. Yes.
So after number 3 with 6 things, what is number 4?
Number 4 is strong desire of moksha, or you can say strong desire of freedom.
Okay.
No,
Number
after 6.
four.
Number 4. Rajapal, Raja. Go ahead.
There's no waiting room. I
Okay.
turned it off.
So then, after you do the karma yoga, you purify your mind and then you go to jnana yoga, right? Because you get all these fourfold qualification that comes in you after doing karma yoga, then you go to the jnana yoga. That's what Madhusudan Saraswati says. So what happens is, when you do karma yoga, purify mind, you renounce all your work. Renunciation of work comes. Like you give away the work. Now, it's not the regular action. I don't give away teaching you Gita class. I will not give away doing my regular work, right? Cooking, cleaning, eating. That's not what they are saying, renouncing of the work. Renunciation of the work means we start not doing the work for our purpose. We do all the work for God. So that is karma yoga, right? So we do all the work that we do. We don't do, there is selfless work. There is no selfish work in there, right? So that's what happened with doing karma yoga, right? So when we renounce all the work combined with, so karma yoga combined with jnana, combined with learning, not jnana is coming next. Jnana plus devotion. So not just
So karma yoga plus gyan. No,
learning,
plus
learning plus devotion, it leads to
Wait, what are you doing?
learning karma yoga that purifies your mind. Hi Raja. Okay, so karma yoga, I will start again one more time. Okay, so what happens is, so when you do karma yoga, what happens? You purify your mind, right? With purified mind, you get those qualification that is needed to learn, to get the knowledge, right? To learn and to come to the Jnana Yoga, right? So with those purified mind, you get those qualification to learn, then you go to Jnana, right? So you get the learning plus devotion, combined with devotion, not just learning itself, but combined with the devotion, what happens is, it leads to stabilized knowledge. The knowledge gets stabilized. Okay, so when the knowledge gets stabilized, that's when you get Jivan Mukti. Jivan Mukti is freedom while living. You are living, you don't give away anything, but you are enlightened. So while living, you get Jivan Mukti. While you are doing all the work, you are free from the work, free from all the desires, free from all the actions that you're taking. You don't get any results on any action anymore. So that is Jivan Mukti. If you continue with the same process, Jivan Mukti leads to Vivek Mukti or Videha Mukti. Videha Mukti means end of your life, your body drops and you still keep on going, right? So that is,
It died again.
huh?
This one died.
Oh, then he doesn't have it.
There's no pen. And there's two
So
pens
then
underneath
that's what
this.
happens. So Madhusudan Saraswati says really good thing that makes us very much understand how the things are working. This is not Krishna Bhagavan said it, but Krishna Bhagavan put it in the book and Madhusudan Saraswati translated it and got this out. So this is one way of thinking, but it's very good way of thinking. So that's why I want to talk to you about this, that why is Karma Yoga important, right? So this is where everything comes up. Without Karma Yoga, foundation is not Karma Yoga, nothing will be achieved. Even if we get the knowledge, which we already got from the chapter 2 a little bit, but it's not going to stabilize because our mind is not purified, right? So then let's talk about chapter 3, right? So we'll start with the first slok. We'll talk about it. So what happens in end of chapter 2, God says that you get this knowledge, you have everything. Even at the time of death, when you are dying, you get this knowledge, you get enlightened. Even at the point of end of the life, right? Even if at the end of the life you get this knowledge, you get enlightened, right? So now Arjun, after that where Krishna Bhagavan finished it, now Arjun got a questions where the third chapter starts, right? So we will take question number 1, verse number 1, that is Arjun question on chapter 3. So Sean, you want to read it? Okay, Krish, you will read it. Okay, so Krish gonna read it, and you guys can follow him.
1 second.
We haven't decided who's gonna read next 10 sloks, so I'm gonna tell you today, okay guys? Then we will have that whole circle again of reading the sloks. Okay. Be loud little.
Yeah. Arjuna Vacha
Arjuna Vacha
Jayasi Chet Karmanaste
Jayasi Chet Karmanaste
Mata Buddhir Janardana
Mata Buddhir Janardana
Tat Kim Karmani Gore Mam
Tat Kim Karmani Gore Mam
Niyojayasi Keshava
Niyojayasi Keshava. We're gonna sing all together. Arjunuvacha Jayasi chet karmanaste mata buddhir janardana tat kim karmani gore ma niyojayasi keshava. So now Arjuna is asking a question here to Krishna Bhagavan. After Krishna Bhagavan explaining everything in chapter 2, right? He says, if knowledge is superior than to the action, because see Krishna Bhagavan talk about knowledge, then Karma Yoga, then he talks about the characteristics of enlightened person, right? So he said, when knowledge is so important than action, then why are you pushing me to do this action, right? What was Krishna Bhagavan asking Arjun to do? Action, right? He was asking to do karma. He was asking him to go and fight the war, right? So then at this point, Krishna Bhagavan is saying, Arjun is saying that you already mentioned that ultimately I have to get this jnana and this knowledge, that what are we? We already, if that's so important, ultimately I have to go to that, and action is not that important. The jnana is important. So why are you asking me to do this action? Why this action, right? Why are you pushing me? Why are you throwing me through this? Now Arjuna has a deep misunderstanding here, right? What he is thinking is God has given him two options. He is taking as two options. One, either you get the jnana, you get the knowledge, you get what you are and live with it, and then give everything away, give the desire away, go and sit in the mountain and get the knowledge. Or he's saying that do action. And now the bigger misunderstanding Arjun has it, that either I can do action which is not that superior, or I can do the jnana which is superior. So why don't I go with the jnana? Why don't I go to the mountain, become monk, and then take this jnana, right? Why do I have to go through this war, which to begin with I don't want to do it, right? I have no view, no desire to do this war. So why are you asking me? Why are you pushing me to go through this war when you said knowledge is better than action? Because war is an action, right? So if knowledge is better than action, then why action, right? So he is having, he came I had a problem, right? Chapter 1, I had a problem. I came to you. And what did you say? You said that you are a soul, you are a consciousness, you are not this body, mind, intellect. You gave me this knowledge. And then you talk about a little bit about Karma Yoga, but you said ultimately I should get this knowledge, and when I get this knowledge I am enlightened. So why don't I jump and get that knowledge rather than doing this karma and then going through the same path, right? So now Arjuna is very, very confused, and he said, I don't know what to do. Tell me what it is, right? So he says buddhi janardana, right? Mata buddhi janardana. In this verse, buddhi means knowledge, right? So you said knowledge is more important, then why are you asking me to do this karma, right? So now when you have to go to LA, right? You have to go to LA from here, wherever you are sitting. What do you have to do? You have to take a car, go to the airport, and then at the airport you take a flight, and then you go to LA, right? So then I would say you explain me that, hey, Sonal aunty, you take a car, go to the airport, then take a plane and go to the LA. And I'm like, no. Give me one thing. Only one thing. Can I go with the car? Can I go with the car? Where is the car? Why plane? I just want car, right? So Arjuna at this time, just tell me one thing. I can go LA with the car. Can I go LA with the car? From here I can, but can I go that far? It will take days, right? So what he is explaining, that can I just take a car and go? Do I need a plane also, right? Where Krishna Bhagavan is saying you need a car and you need a plane, both, right? So he was explaining that way, but Arjun took it like either way. Should I take a car or should I take a plane, right? So then here what it is, if we understand it well, there are two things, right? One is Karma Yoga, the other one is Jnana Yoga, right? Now, Karma Yoga, as we say, it is a preparation yoga, right? People can get enlightened also with the Karma Yoga itself. They don't even have to go to the Jnana Yoga. They devote themselves so much, they do Karma Yoga and they do get enlightened. And how do they do it? There is an example. King Janak. You know, long time ago, King Janak, he did not do any Jnana Yoga or anything. He just did Karma Yoga and he got enlightened, right? So with the Karma Yoga, you can get enlightened too. But what Krishna Bhagavan is showing the path is, you have to purify your mind. And Karma Yoga is used to purify your mind. And then you go to Jnana Yoga, right? So he is saying one is to a preparatory, and then the second one is that delivers the good, right? So Jnana is delivers the good and Karma Yoga is preparatory to get to the Jnana Yoga, right?
Well, we're doing Jnana Yoga.
Because Krishna Bhagavan went to that way, right? Now he is explaining what is Karma Yoga,
Oh, yeah.
right? Now he's coming back and
Because we need to learn what is Karma Yoga.
yeah. Do you guys remember the matrix that one time we did?
Yeah.
You know, the problem, solution and method?
Yeah.
Anybody remember that? Anybody has in their notebook that they can look?
No.
You don't. But somebody there in the class could have it. You remember the matrix that we did one time? It was problem, solution and method,
Like
right?
ignorance is
Problem.
the problem, and the
Solution
is knowledge,
and
and the method is Jnana.
the first one, yeah.
I think
So
that's the one with Jnana, right?
problem was ignorance,
Yeah.
solution was knowledge, and method was Jnana Yoga. Then what was
I think it's
it?
like unpurified mind.
No, it was scattered mind.
Or something,
Problem is scattered mind.
something like that. And then purified mind.
This is concentration,
Oh, you're doing
and then it was Dhyana Yoga.
It's done what?
And then impure mind,
Yeah, impure. And then purity of mind and karma.
mind, purity of mind. It is Karma Yoga.
And all the
Now, you know, we talk about in this three, but what Krishna Bhagavan and Arjuna are saying, this Karma Yoga is including Dhyana Yoga, okay? So they're just talking about two, because Dhyana Yoga is included in Karma Yoga. So, you remember this matrix? We studied that matrix before. So what happened in this matrix, what it is? When you have impure mind, the solution is purity of mind. How do you do it? With Karma Yoga. Yeah, Raja? You got it? You have a question? No? Okay. Then you have scattered mind. And then scattered mind, you get concentration with the Dhyana Yoga. Right? And then the last thing is with the purified mind, with the concentration, when you get the knowledge, that's the Jnana Yoga. Right? So that's how it is being mentioned step by step how we can go it. So right now we are on this thing, right? Our mind is not purified. Right? Now I want you to do one exercise. One more exercise we're gonna do. Again, it's the same. But what I want you to do is for 1 minute, I want you to close your eyes. And what I want you to think about it, who is Nishi? Are they there? Can I see them? Nishi, are you there? Can I see you guys?
The cameras. There.
Okay, thank you, Acha. And
Yeah.
Neil, can I see you too, beta? So in this exercise, what I want you to do, again, we're going to close our eyes and we're going to sit down, and I want you to think only about God. Whichever God you believe in, whichever God you have in mind, whichever, in your house there is a temple, there is a picture, anything. For 1 minute, I want you to just think about that God, nothing else. Can we do that? We're going to put again one more time a timer here for 1 minute, and we're going to I want you to think about that. Okay? Nothing else should come in your mind. And be very true. If something else come in your mind, let's discuss about it. Okay? Ready? 1, 2, 3, close your eyes. That was good.
That was long.
Huh? That was okay. Krishu, what happened to you? Tell me.
I
What's
just
that?
pictured Krishna
Uh-huh.
with the flute.
Did anything else came in your mind? Even for a fraction of a second.
Like saliva came into my mouth and then I felt like I had to swallow it.
Okay. So you think about something else too?
Yeah.
Anything
that
else?
counts.
Okay. Yasia, what came in your mind?
So I pictured Krishna, and for some reason I saw him eating something.
Uh-huh. That's nice.
And I also imagined myself hugging him.
Oh, nice. Okay, Alvika?
I pictured Krishna talking to Arjun about why he should do the war.
Okay, nice. What about you, Colonel?
Mine might be a little off topic, but I was imagining Hanumanji.
Uh-huh.
And for like a little while, I was imagining how he saved Sita Mata.
Oh, nice.
And then I was thinking about how did he kill all the Ravan with just one gun.
Oh, yes, that's true. Risha, did you have to say too something?
I thought about Shukbakan and how he sliced up Hanuman. I mean, no, not Hanuman. Ganpati Bappa's head.
Oh, yeah, that's a good story too. Yeah, good. Okay, Reha, anything from you?
Nothing
Nothing.
really came into my I thought about God, but nothing else.
Nothing else came in your mind? You guys have purified mind, guys. You guys are really good. Okay, Nishi, you?
I thought about, I saw Krishna Bhagwan playing, the flute.
Uh-huh. So, for the whole minute, you were thinking that nothing else came in your mind?
Well, I thought about food.
Food? Okay. Yeah, no, that's true, right? Neil, what about you? Are you there, Neil? Okay, I will be very honest to you guys. I did the same thing. I was thinking about this Krishna Bhagwan, right? Sitting next to me. But for a fraction of a second, I'm like, okay, it's getting darker outside. Or I have only 5 minutes to finish the class. That thing came in my mind while I was closing my eyes. Don't you get you guys are really good that if you did not think anything else other than God. Yeah, Karan.
Two things. You said that you were sitting next to Krishna Bhagwan, and he is sitting right next to you,
Yes.
and like over there.
Yes. Yeah.
Also, I did think about something else.
Was it?
For a second, I thought about racing, like the race cars, Formula One,
Yeah.
for 1 second, and then it went away.
Yes. And you try to bring it back to the God, right? So this thing happened to me too, Colonel. I will be very honest. What happened is I was keep thinking about God for a little while. But after a little while, I thought, oh my God, I think the class is about to be over. Or I might have only few minutes to cover this thing. That came in my mind. And then I pulled myself back to God, and I'm like, no, I need to think only about God, right? So what happens is it's very hard to concentrate on something. It's very, very hard to concentrate, right? Even though we are devoting so much, but for 1 minute also we cannot concentrate on God. It's very hard. It's not easy. If you guys were only thinking about God for 1 minute, that's awesome. You guys are very, you are very devoted. You guys are really have a purified mind, because until you don't have purified mind, you cannot concentrate. So I would say my mind is not that purified like you guys are, because you for a whole 1 minute you were just thinking about God, nothing else came in your mind. For me, I'm not. So I still have to work on this one. So to get to the purified mind, I have to keep doing karma yoga, right? That's what we're going to study later, right? So until we don't pass this bottom line of karma yoga, we cannot get to the dhyan yoga or gyan yoga. Though we got the knowledge, but it's not going to stabilize with us, right? So that's why we have to do karma yoga, to purify our mind. As soon as we purify our mind more and more, then the concentration will come by itself, and then we can stabilize in the knowledge. So that's why now God is coming to the basic, because Arjuna asked the question as saying, I'm confused which one to go. So now God will explain everything about karma yoga, right? So that's where we will start next time. So Arjuna asked the question now, and Krishna Bhagwan will give the answer, which we're gonna start from next week. Okay, guys? Okay, thank you guys. Let's close it out. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamshachanuramardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadguru Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwara Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Krishna Arpanamastu. Thank you guys. Thank you for being there. You guys are all doing okay? Dallas weather is getting colder or no? It's getting colder? Do you guys have to wear sweaters now when you go outside? Jacket? No?
I mean, it gets like really cold in the morning,
Oh,
like you can see your breath,
Uh-huh.
but then by the afternoon, like the sun's shining.
Oh, okay. So a couple more weeks, I guess, before it starts getting cold.
Yeah.
Good. Are you guys excited for Thanksgiving coming?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes? I know, that would be the closest holiday, right? To us right now. Yeah. Good. What you saying, Karno?